for Scorpio for the end of the summer, the beginning of the fall. This reading is for couples to gain insight into their partners. That is why I created it. So hopefully that is what you gain from it. Yeah, if anybody who's watched my readings, I split the masculine and the feminine energies of each sign, and then I go from there. So I'm going to give a character, 3-card character review, 3-card love review, and 3-card sex review. Try and see what kind of tips are hidden in that way and go outward with it for anybody who's interested in that sign as well. So Scorpio females, I will start with. The first card I get is the Knight of Swords. So the Knight of Swords, I feel like, is more of an energy than an actual person in your midst, but I mean, nonetheless, take heed. The Knight of Swords is an energy. He's just ready for action. He's fired up and ready to go. He's blunt, and he's going to take charge. Not necessarily in a good, controlling manner, but he's going to come in and be noticed and be blunt and be bold and really kind of stir things up. So that is the Knight of Swords energy, ready for anything and ready for the attack, really is what's going on. So there's an energy here with the females that they are going to be ready for attack. They're going to be ready for anything that comes at them, almost like they're prepared for an attack. The next card that I get is the Magician. So that is being in control and manifesting your desires and being able to do so with the tools that you have. So feeling very powerful. So if we have the Knight of Swords energy with the Magician, this is very much something where there's not, there is some skill behind them. When they're charging forward, there's a skill here. They know what they're after and they're going to, get it type thing, or stir things up in a powerful way. The last card we end up at for the character of the Scorpio female is the Hermit, which is interesting because we have 2 cards here that really go outward in a bold, brash kind of way, and then we end up with the Hermit card. So there may be just an opening up of an explosion of emotions going forth with these Scorpio females, and then they take time to kind of retreat. And Scorpios on the whole, masculine and feminine, are tricky little buggers. They kind of, you may not know where you stand with them straight off. And they can be very sly, on the sly. And I'm not trying to put this sign down, but they can be very deceiving, we'll put it that way, as to where they sit with things. So you may not know truly where you sit with them until they go inward and come outward in a bold, brash way, and it'll be something that kind of slaps you in the face. So there's an energy here. They want to take charge and they're ready for anything, and they've got the power behind them to do it. And there's also an energy here of having to retreat, and I mean, that's kind of that energy. It's almost like the crab energy, but to a higher degree. Now on the love side of things, we have the first card is embrace your emotions. Don't push down your feelings or judge your emotions. So some of these Scorpios may be going through a time where they're not really in touch with their emotions or recognizing what they are. So they need to do that. They need to feel it, embrace it, recognize it, and rejoice in it. There's a lack of that. Maybe a lack of time to do that, but nonetheless they're needing to embrace their emotions and at least recognize them. The next card I get on the love side is focus on love. Look for the good attributes in each and every person in your life. So again, the busyness could keep these Scorpio females where they're just not seeing. They're just dealing with what's in front of their face, and they need to really focus on the love that surrounds them, because if you do not see it or recognize it, it cannot show up for you. They need to focus on the outside of all of the love that is sitting there outside, where they're not really recognizing that at this point. The last card in the love series, we get love makes the difference. So love can help heal past hurts and provide a sense of security, self-worth, and importance. So a lot of the Scorpio females may be in a position where not only are they not recognizing the love that's around them, but not recognizing the hurt that it has been through their field in the past. So not dealing with any of it really, just the emotional center, just shut it off. Being in a position where you can accept the emotions that you've been for what they give you. And love being the highest of these, it will give you a sense of security, self-worth, and importance if you go over that and realize those things. Love, of course, being the one that you want to focus on, but also, you know, embracing the emotions that you've had along the way in order to feel them out, and focusing on the love that's around you. I feel like you're just not aware of that, so you need to look, like just stop and look, and you'll see, oh yeah, there's love there, there's love there, there's love there. And what do you know, I haven't been cashing in on that, and not in a selfish way either, but I haven't been noticing that. So take the time to do that. It will really bring a deeper sense of the emotional side forward, where we can actually, you know, utilize this day to day instead of hiding it from everybody and just working from a sense or a lack of emotions. That's really what I'm getting on the love side here. I feel that has to do with ready to take charge, because you feel like maybe the people on the other side of you are more at odds than they actually are, because you're not really acknowledging the love that really does truly surround you. Now on the sex side of things for the females, we have the Knight of Wands, and that is a great, wonderful, sensual card. So in the bedroom here, I'm getting a sense that there is love in that way coming at you on a physical side of things. The next card we get is the Seven of Wands. So that's that, you know, interesting. And then we get the Eight of Swords. So the Seven of Wands is really that card where we could be crossing the line into creepy here, where this guy is kind of, you're getting a sense that he doesn't really know her too well, and yet she's indulging. So, and that may have something to do with the depth of emotion that you have within yourself, or you're not diving into. You may have a loving sexual relationship that you feel at this point, at this level that you're at, is indulging, but yet you're kind of going in the physical act of things with your emotions removed. There seems to be some part of the relationship that can handle sensuality, but the Seven of Wands leaves me hungering for depth. It's really, you know what, let's take this, let's do there's really a sense coming off of this guy that he's just indulging in physical. I mean, all of these cards about the physical, but there's no depth here, lack of emotion, because she's really trying to gain the emotion and he's just really almost on attack. That's the essence I get from the card. So be aware of that, that there's that essence is coming off to your partner, or could have the capability to come off to your partner, being emotionally disconnected. So that's one warning. And the Eight of Swords is basically about indulging in a physical way and having someone in the foreground. Where that sits right here is just beyond creepy. But yet there's a card here, like the Knight of Swords really, or the Knight of Wands, really amps up, it takes away a little bit of that creepiness. But nonetheless, there's someone here that is curious about how things are in the physical way. And I don't want to say it's someone that's looming, but there's a third party here that just kind of doesn't fit in the scenario. Now, if we go into like some deeper stuff here, it could really be those emotional side of who you are as a woman is really sitting over there, and your physical side is engaged. That's a little depth for you. It might be too far, but I feel it fits with the rest of the reading. We have the emotions that are off on this side, but the physical part is engaged. But you really have to be aware of the emotional side to kick in, and that's what's missing, is just kicking in on all cylinders. We want all cylinders to run here, and we want it to be on the physical. You know, the emotional, the love, the giving of the love and the compassion is missing. It's lacking emotion, the love side is lacking emotion, so you want to cash that in. And then on the physical side, we have a sensual side here, but also lacking emotion in depth. So that's really what I'm gaining here. I don't feel like there's someone looming too far off in the distance, other than just having a sense of that being detached emotion sitting there waiting to engage. But there's a reason that it's not kind of connecting. Like I'm literally getting a picture of a person with their emotions being taken out and looking from like third person kind of view. It's their emotions, it's all there, give their all, but they're just taking it away. It's almost like a power play, honestly. That's the feeling I get, is like they're using their emotions as control in the bedroom, which is not good. It's not good. But that's what I'm getting from the Scorpio female. Yeah, a little weird. I don't know why. Why hold all that back when you can express that, and then your partner feels that, and then they'll give more from that as well. So not too sure. Just a power play. Could be just a power play. Magician up there with his wand, and so there's stuff going on. But nonetheless, if you're trying to get in the graces of the Scorpio female, beware, she may not even notice you until you're smack dab in her face. And for those in a coupled relationship, they're in the relationship, but they're emotionally not invested at all. Their emotions are really locked up, and throw away the key. And not only that, I will be in charge of when I give that out, and if I do it all, I don't think so. That kind of a thing. Very flippant, very not good. Almost as if the relationship itself needs work. But nonetheless, that's their ball of wax. They'll have to figure it out. Because with the Magician and the Knight of Swords, there could be some power play issues here on a heavy side of things. But the Hermit's here, so we retreat to think about things. So hopefully they gain the knowledge to bring the emotionals back in there and rebalance things. Very complicated, the female is. But nonetheless, if you're going in that direction, good luck to you, because you probably won't get through to her. She's really on a rampage, and there's not much unless you're right in her face and go, hey, I care for you, da da da. And even then she'll go, oh, that's great, and take off. What do you got to offer? And just be disinterested. There's a disconnection of spirit here that is kind of beyond my understanding, but nonetheless, there and complex. So if you're going after a Scorpio female, choose someone else, because she's really not going to see you at this point in time through the fall and into the winter maybe. She really has to slow down and take checkpoint of her life. And I feel like these Scorpio females have been on that path for a while, and I don't know that they're going to slow down until they hit a brick wall. So after the brick wall, then you pick them up and then you carry forward. Then you might get some service. I don't know what will happen there. But that is the female nonetheless. Just not in the zone where they're picking up things. They may be talking the talk, but they're not walking a walk. In a love and sex kind of way. They're walking some kind of walk here, maybe in business. It may be all business, and they're just not investing in anything else, and that's it. Tunnel vision, business. I got no time for love. So that may be a situation that's there too. For the Scorpio males, for the first card, I get the Page of Cups. So that's imagination, love, offerings. I want to say offerings, but it's more relaxed than that. It's like feelings of love in the air type thing, but an immaturity about it as well. Kind of being in your head about things. That's what the Page of Cups is, an immaturity to the love that is offered there. There's not quite the advancement of the Knight, and absolutely not the power of the it's interesting, the King, but the King is in the sex side, so we'll see what happens here. The next card I get for the males, Scorpio, is Temperance. So that's interesting, because we have an immaturity here, and yet he's holding the cup with the fish and is like, oh, isn't this great, blah, blah, blah. Being kind of excitable about the emotions. And the Temperance is really the universe pouring into it what needs to be. There needs to be some insight here. There needs to be some understanding from Intuition. So the intuition is melting in with this male, and they're trying to make a good balance here. And what we come out with is the Four of Wands. So that's a really great card, because when we're talking about relationships, that's the solid, right? That's the marriage, that's the wedding, that's the engagement, the solidifying of the relationship. It seems to be paramount on these Scorpio males' minds. So they're using their intuition and what they want from their insides, mixed with the universal, and there's, even though they have a little bit of an immaturity that they have to deal with, that their mind is going in the right direction. There's the relationship one-on-one is what they're wanting. So with the love cards for the Scorpio male, the first one I come up with is have patience. Love is patient and kind always. So there may be a sense here of waiting on something or someone, waiting to solidify the relationship. Maybe you got to know, maybe you asked and wasn't the right time, or maybe you're waiting on something to go through before. You know, you're waiting to buy the house so that you can get married. You're waiting to, you know, whatever it is, solidify the job in order to gain the house to get the marriage. Whatever it is. There's a little bit of a stepping stone here that has to happen. So for the males, we just need to have patience. The next card we get here for the love side of things is get to know each other. Learning to meet another's need for love is important for a relationship to grow. So the give and take, the balancing out, the temperance, maybe you have to temper some of your immature aspects in order to gain. I feel like there's a little bit of a level here that's been skipped. We can't skip levels, so I don't understand what's going on. But it's almost like there's been something that has been overlooked, highly overlooked, like to the point where it's detrimental. You cannot skip it. But yet it has been skipped somehow, slyly, through the basis here. But it has to do with getting to know one another. Yeah, maybe not enough time has passed, or I feel like some may be at a distance where there's things that normal people would deal with, say like a long distance relationship where normal people would deal with on a day-to-day, but over a distance you can't quite catch up with that. So there's something being lost in the mix here that has to do with getting to know your partner better. So dive into that, and I feel like it'll come to the surface and be renewed in that way, refreshed in that way. And also has something to do with an evening of the temperaments between each partner. Getting to know the balance. What causes the person to blow off, or in a bad way, to go off in a bad way, and what causes them to really rise, and using those things not as weapons but to balance each other out. The next card I get is actions speak loudly. Express your love through your actions. So there it is. It may be the fact that there's some actions are just latent. They're not putting in the action needed to have a balanced relationship. They're not balancing it on the action-oriented side. So be aware of that if you're a Scorpio male. You got to put in a little more action-oriented effort. Not just talk, but do. In the love side of things, and you'll get farther there. Now, for the sex side of things, we have justice, which is interesting. Because we have temperaments, which is a balancing out of energies as well, and justice. And I feel a light air here of, you know, and it's funny how it's under patience, temperance, patience, and justice. I'm going to move on. The next card I get in the sex side is the World, 21. So that is completion of something. Something has come full circle. You've either realized exactly what it is that you want and have attained it, or you are having some lessons come at you that you have previously not completed. So you may have an opportunity here to make things right. Whereas in the past you may have not done it correctly, you have an opportunity here to do that. And I feel that's where the justice comes in. For this card, it's like, okay, we're going to try this again. Now, are you going to do it properly? If not, you're going to move backwards. And the patience comes with the amount of hits that you're going to take. I feel like there's going to be this, there's a little nudge, little push, all of that stuff is coming up here, and you're seeing it. You're starting to see it, but I don't know you're realizing it. I think you're seeing the cycles and feeling like you're in that default, like not again, but you need to go deeper. You need to look deeper and go, it's not only not again, but guess what? You're the common denominator in this battle. You are the common thing that this is happening. It's not, you know, the partners are different. So you need to look at that as well. And you need to go in there and say, okay, it's me that's common. And this is why it's hitting me, so I got to change that. And I feel like you'll make some headway if you go about that. Now, interestingly enough, the King of Cups comes up at the end here. So there is really an opportunity to become the king of emotional center here. Because we're going from a page to a king. It's like there's some learning, there's some advancement here that can go forward, move forward. There's opportunities. Whether they're taken, I feel like, ooh, this is dicey. It could not, it could, I feel like there's a temperament here that can disallow the advancement to move from the page to the king. But I feel over time, it will just wear him out. Over time, not only will he see it, he'll go, yeah, he'll realize it, won't want to admit it, won't want to admit his wrongs, because it's that man, you know, and I'm not wrong. But we have to look at the harmony here that we want to gain. We want to gain harmony and love, and then that absolutely transfers to the bedroom, and whoever doesn't think that is kidding themselves. It starts with the harmony on the outside, and then it slowly works to the interior. And I feel like the world is showing you, look, this is happening again. Why is it happening? These partners are different. You need to look at yourself. You need to go inside more, and your actions are spelling out a paragraph here that you got to look at. You got to read it, proofread it, and go through it, that kind of thing. But there's a balancing that your soul wants to happen. There's two balancing cards here. It wants to come into balance here. It wants to get rid of this. It's kind of like a burden in a way. I don't have that burden card, but that's what I'm feeling. We got to get this off. And I feel like there's an awareness within the Scorpio male. He's starting to become aware, yeah, I shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't be like that, or I shouldn't do this. So then don't. Then you got to act on that. And if you do it, then temper yourself enough to say, you know what, I was wrong. Ooh, that goes a long way. So in that mode, for the males that are in committed relationships, they are really wanting more commitment, wanting more solidity. If they're engaged, they want to be married. If they're partnered, they want to be engaged. That kind of thing. They want it signed, sealed, and delivered, so that they can kind of relax. It's almost like that feeling like, okay, I don't feel like I can relax until I get the ring, or I get the marriage certificate or anything like that. They just don't feel like they can relax until that's done. So that's what's going on with the married committed ones, okay? The ones that are dating, I'm feeling like they're going through cycles where they may be having one, minimal amount of partners, but starting to see, they may have just kind of come out of a relationship and wanting something that's for the long term, and every time they go in, I feel like they think that's what they're doing. They're like, yeah, this is the one, but then something hits up, and it's that immaturity for them to see really their part in it. So I feel like the singles, that's where they're coming from. They're not quite getting a hold of their own issues enough to the point where they can clear them out to gain that partner forever and ever, amen. So yeah, but there is an option here to become the king. So they just really need to do that by sucking up and either apologizing, say, I feel like they have to admit their wrongs to their partner, what they're doing, or at least admit that to themselves. Then they can go outward when they feel comfortable. Because that's really the thing, is they got to feel comfortable in doing it. Otherwise, it's like a fight. They got to, they don't want to give that up. They don't want to give that sorry. It's like a defeat. But, you know, if you really understood how women work, it's more of a win for you. But a lot of men just don't feel that. They feel from the wrong side. Not the wrong side, but the ego side of thing. That ego takes over and says, I'm not going to admit I'm wrong, and that's it. So we just have to understand how far that can take you. And as long as you're realizing where your wrongs are, and not saying you're wrong when you truly don't feel you're wrong, saying it when you truly feel it and admitting it when you truly feel it, and letting your partner in on that, then there's a beautiful thing that sprouts from that. And that's the King of Cups, the maturity that comes through. So the options there. By the end of fall into winter, we may have a king sitting on his throne here, being all compassionate and getting in touch with his issues, admitting his wrongs and cleaning some of that debris that he's been kind of hiding from. So that's interesting. So for those people trying to get into the Scorpio's line of sight over the summer and fall, beware. He's going through some stuff. Just be there in the compassionate sense of the word, but don't let him walk on you, because he won't see straight through that. You have to really be on your toes with the Scorpios. Any of the water signs, really, you have to be on your toes, because they may play like everything's okay, but underneath they need some tending to. And that's the thing, is they kind of don't want to admit that. They don't want to admit that they need someone else to lift them up a little bit or help them forward. So, and until they do that, they don't realize the companionship factor. So the males in a little bit of a wanting to settle down, but learning their lessons through that, and a big chance to bump up their page to their knight, which is good. So in the couples, they're just struggling. Without couples, they're going to need some heavy understanding from a very compassionate, soft-centered human being. So whatever form that takes, you have to be prepared to look in the eye of the storm and be ready to, not to fight, but to just stand up for them, and also yourself. Don't lose yourself in the mix. And for the females, they're really just in a world of their own. They got the blinders on, they're going straight forward in one direction. It doesn't seem to be including love. The love side of things is really second, third, fourth on their list, just not at all wanting to deal with that. Yet having a physical partner, most of them, and being able to do that, but not being highly attuned to their emotions while they are doing that. So in that way, you're looking for a strong, sturdy, emotional, deep partner. Though the Scorpio can be capable of this, this is not the way to go. I think you just stay away from the Scorpios, because you're really, all you're going to get is flesh wounds, especially if you're looking for something deep. If you're looking for a short-term, non-committal, emotionally distant relationship, that's your goal. Someone who can fit you in between their business plans, that's the way to go. If that works for you, then that may be where you want to be, because they really just don't have time for a full-time, and they will not make time for commitment in an emotional way, or well, they're making some commitments for the sex, but they're just not in an emotional way. So hopefully that helps you understand better. I know it doesn't shed a good light on a lot of these energies that they're giving off. You got to remember everything's in flux, and sometimes, you know, seasons. I go seasonally, and I don't think I could go monthly, because it's just too in depth. And a lot of these things don't pass. It takes a lot of time for this stuff to pass. And, you know, these Scorpio women or men too, they may come out of that phase and be okay, and come back up onto the emotional center and grab into that. But at this point, it's just lacking in that area. So for the summer and into the fall, there's just not a lot of emotional ties you can make in that direction. So if you're seeking out a Scorpio, know that. Just know that you're not going to get a deep emotional tie. It's just really, my mouth wants to say unheard of, but I think it's unearthed in their realm. You know, they are water, and they should flow with the emotions, but at this point, there's not a lot of that coming through. So hopefully that clarifies things. I mean, or it makes you understand partner that you may have or may not have, or may want or may not want. Understand them to a higher degree where there's no resentment. This is just really a struggle that they're fighting on the interior. It is a good sign, though, that these women are going inside, showing there's a need for that, and eventually there will be more sustainable things that come out of that, looking inward, because they could not even be looking inward and just trampling. And I mean, that's a good sign that they're going inward. That means that there's something out of whack, and there's an acknowledgement in the soul that there's something there that needs to be dealt with. They just got to learn how to do that. Sometimes it's on their own. So hopefully that clarifies some things for the Scorpio male and female. Again, the reading's going completely different than I absolutely thought that they would. A lot less upbeat than I was giving credit, but nonetheless, hopefully useful, and hopefully, you know, gaining some insight in that way, again, to help couples understand each other better. So for this late summer and early fall, take care, have fun, and be kind, Scorpio.